Hello, everybody, and welcome to the live show of the Game Changers Experience. And I wanted to jump on here because, I love doing these live shows, these live streams. And for you guys that are listening in, by the way, whether you be listening in live, we're streaming through LinkedIn, through YouTube, through Facebook. If you're listening to the podcast, obviously we'll put all the show description notes below. But what is today all about, ladies and gentlemen? What is today's conversation is all about? Well, it's all about authenticity. Now, I know that I've been speaking a little bit about authenticity in the past, but I wanted to kind of give some context as today's conversations, which I'll do in a second. So for you guys that are listening to me, by the way, use the hashtag live, use the hashtag replay. There we go, just down below. And if you love this video, and it resonates with you, also, if it resonates with you, please do me a favor, hit that bell notification, which is in the top right-hand corner of my LinkedIn and YouTube channel, because, today's conversation is going to be really interesting. If you have any post, like, or comment in the section below. So I love engagement, by the way. So if you have any questions around today's topic, which is how to lead with authenticity, then I would love to hear from you. I'd love to get your feedback if you've experienced what I'm about to share with you today. The reason I've decided to do this because something over the last week or so, something's happened to me, and I wanted to share it with you, okay, if that's all right. And I wanted to share it with you because I wanted to get your feedback and perspective, and maybe it's happened to you potentially, but also I just kind of would really appreciate you guys streaming it, telling me what you've experienced. So today, like I said, today's all about authenticity. So let me give you the spiel about this week. So this week's been a really interesting week. Every week has ups and downs, right? So we have challenges in our life, whether it be on a personal or business level, but we also have like wins in our business and things like that. So we have wins in our personal life and wins in general. But this week's been really interesting. It's been a bit chaotic. I'm traveling as well. So I wanted to give you some context. So why am I doing this video? So this week, there's a few things that's happened to me, which I felt needed a little bit of what's the word I'm looking for? It needed a little bit of perspective, and maybe this has happened to you. Maybe we're going through these weird times, but one of the things that, for you guys that listen to me really a lot, and so for those of you that really know me very well, you'll probably relate to this on a big level. One of my core values is all about inauthentic, right? And if things are not doing well or things are not going well, I'll be honest with you. If I've got a bee in my bonnet, I'm gonna tell you, okay? And and there's a lot of things going on in the world right now. There's a lot of people going through lots of challenges, right? Including myself, of course. I'm not gonna, beat around the bush. But I think what's important is that we are open and honest, okay? And also, this is interesting. So, and I'm not going to name names because I'm a professional, as you know. I'm not going to name names, but last couple of weeks actually, I've had news calls with authentic led, which I felt were authentic, genuine business owners and entrepreneurs needing help, right? So needing some guidance and really kind of like, and through building relationships take time, trust takes time. One of the things that I discovered that when people want to work with me, it takes time for them to really get to know me as a person and how we can really add value. Does that make sense? It's probably the same for everyone that's listening in as well. There's a time scale to it. My time scale is around 5 months. Okay. So, what was I going to say to you? Yeah, I've lost my train of thought there. Anyway, so last couple of weeks, yeah. And so I've been having some really interesting calls with a few people and offered them, spent some time with them, given them some recommendations and some feedback, as they, and they were really open and honest, and they felt very uh, appreciated to the context and stuff. And then what I decided to do is I wanted to offer extra value, right? And for me, I love to add value to people, right? Because if you add value, it means that people trust you, right? If you add value, you enhance your credibility, you enhance who you are as a person, okay? So interestingly enough, so I'd invited a couple of people who I thought would really appreciate some extra help, some extra guidance and stuff like that. So, as some of you know, I run a inner circle mastermind, and it is online for some of those people. It's online for some of those people. And we meet every couple of weeks. It's collaboration through and through. I love collaboration, high level learning and teaching. Also, like a great opportunity and a place to get accountability, which is what everyone needs. Do you know what I mean? Like everybody needs that. And so I had these conversations with a couple of people, and then I invited them as a guest to come along. Now we offer it's a paid membership, right? Everyone pays to come as part of it. It's a private members club. It's by application only, etc., etc. And I just felt like these two particular individuals would really highly benefit. Anyway, cut long story short, we had our session yesterday, and they didn't show up. And I'd already made sure that they had the appropriate details and sent all the preparation, etc., etc. And they didn't show up, and I felt sad. I'm pretty honest with you. I felt sad. I felt sad not just because, and it wasn't because I felt let down. I actually felt sad because they've let themselves down. Does that make sense? When you offer someone help, right? And if it doesn't align to you, for example, if someone's offering you help, do me a favor, don't throw it back in their face. Be open and honest with them. And just say to them, this isn't for me, or, this isn't for me. I'm focusing on something else. I'm trying a different technique or whatever it might be. Okay. But just be open and honest with that individual, right? Because, and it's honestly, I can tell you now, honesty goes a long way, right? If you're authentic and honest, it's going to pay off tenfold, because people are going to know who you are as a human being. It goes back to respect, so you want to be respected the way that you respect yourself, right? It's exactly the same context. So, so I wanted to kind of like be on here and give you some kind of context about like what's happened to me over the last couple of weeks. And so I feel like this is like happening more and more regular, whether it's because of fear, whether it be because of scarcity, whether it be because, a lot of people are having thought patterns or a mindset where they've got this judgment in their head and it's all made up, right? Because for me, for you guys that are listening in, and thank you so much for making any comments in the comment section below. For me, it's important to have this authentic-led, values-based, what I was going to approach, call it an approach, yeah? So how can we as leaders and entrepreneurs be more authentic? How can we show authenticity? Because you attract who you attract, right? Like attracts alike. So if I attract, people that are value-driven, authentic-led people like me, then I'm going to attract those people, right? But if you're the type of person that says that they are, but actually don't deliver on it, then you're a hypocrite, right? You're completely going against the grain. You're not authentic. You're actually fake. Yeah. So it kind of feels like, by the way, sorry if you feel like I'm ranting on a little bit, but I just want to kind of get my point across here. So if we want to become more authentic, if we want to, if we want to build this trust, okay, then we've got to lead by authenticity. And here's a really interesting analogy here. One thing that we're doing, I'm going to quickly, I'll share this actually at the end, but let me give you some tips about authenticity and what you need to do to be more authentic. Okay, so first things first. Okay, is to communicate openly, right? So if something is, if they're, don't be one of these people that kind of fake it before you make it. Don't be one of these people that, if something is not going well for you, then do me a favor. No one's gonna like shit on your grave. No one's gonna like tell you that you're a bad person. No one's gonna say that you're all kind of like all mouth of action type of thing. Like, but if you communicate openly, right, with where you're at, if you communicate open with your clients, if you communicate openly through your content, right, I can guarantee you that people are going to appreciate that because it comes from a human. It's a great human trait to have, right? So make sure that you communicate openly. Being open and honest with people, which is really important. Making sure that if you've got a commitment, for example, make sure that that commitment is being fulfilled and everything else making for example, when we run our inner circle group, for example, I like to make sure that with our tribal members is that they've got the dates in advance. Okay, they've got the dates in advance, number one. But number two is that they prioritize working on the business and not working in it. Does that make sense? So that's where like a bit like a kind of the whole kind of metamorphism of caterpillar to butterfly. That's where the magic starts. Do you know what I mean? So I really feel like, anyway, I hope you kind of get where I'm coming from. Secondly, being honest, right? So like I said to you, honesty is the best policy. You've probably heard of that kind of analogy before, but it's so true. If you're I don't know, if you're having a call and someone's offering some help or support to you, right? And things are just not the way that they should be open and honest with that person. If you feel if there's good chemistry, if there's good energy between you and the other person, for example, it's really important that you're honest with, the world, the life, where you're at right now, okay? Because if things aren't going well, then you should be open and honest, because there are lots of people suffering out there. Okay, you shouldn't be the only person that hides behind a rock and think it's okay to show up and be a person that you're not really supposed to be, if that makes sense. And it goes back to, if you're a coach or a consultant or a strategist or an accountant or an IT consultant or whatever it might be, okay, and you proclaim to deliver a great service and whatever it is, but if you're not, if you can't prove that, if you are not in a great place that you can really add value, then be open and honest about that. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of, again, it kind of goes back to this kind of hypocrite type of personality, if you like. The other thing I was going to say to you is, and this is important, it's important with a lot of people, especially with clients that I work with, is to set boundaries. There's a tolerance. So we all have tolerances. Does that make sense? We all have tolerances. And so if you feel like someone's taking advantage of you, you need to set that boundary. So I had a great conversation this week with somebody, and she felt that her ex-partner was taking advantage of a situation, and so he was going to, she was compromising her boundaries, and I basically said, well, if you let that person compromise your boundaries, what they're going to do is they're going to make you feel bad. They're going to make you feel bad about yourself, and no one wants to feel bad about themselves. No one wants to feel pessimistic and negative, and there's enough of that out there, right? Just look at the news. But the point I'm trying to make is setting boundaries so important in business, right? So making sure that you communicate and you say to people, this is not a great way to behave. I don't expect that. Okay. This is not how I wish to be treated. Okay. And this is really important. Like for me, and boundaries are extremely important. If I feel like someone's taking the piss or someone's taking advantage of me, then I'll be like, this doesn't feel right. I feel like you're taking advantage of me, and this is the reasons why you're taking I feel you're taking advantage of me. Okay. And then it's kind of like you allow the person to then take a step back and think about the impact that they're making based on whatever actions they're taking or the behavior that they're taking out. Does that make sense? So extremely important to make sure that you set some boundaries, and, and making sure that, like, for example, when I take on a client, right, whether it be in our mastermind or on a full-on consultancy strategy based, is I'll say to them at the very beginning, you know, I'm not there with you 24/7. Okay. I'm not there as a fly on the wall, even though I'd like you to think that I'm a fly on the wall. But the only way that this is going to work is that, number one, uh, we keep that openness about us. Okay. If something's not right, if I don't know, if there's a death in the family, for example, it's going to affect your productivity, I need to know. Okay. Because if you, and I'm not a mind reader, okay, and I don't expect anyone else to be a mind reader. But again, that's where the boundaries come in, okay. So I feel like that's extremely important, right? Setting those boundaries. The other thing as well, if you want to become more authentic-led entrepreneur, is to educate and empower. So things that I love to do is create content, being a content creator, being a podcaster. I love to educate and empower people, and you can educate and empower people on so many different levels. And through, whether it be through carousels, podcasting, video, like I'm doing right now, whether it be through articles that you write that are informative and that are educational. So education and empowerment is a very powerful form to building that relationship, and long-term relationship and trust over time. So if you're consistent and you discipline yourself and you put yourself out there and you get yourself out of your comfort zone, I can guarantee you people are going to start attracting you. You're going to become like a magnet, so you're going to become a magnet. So and I feel like, again, it's extremely important to continue to educate people and empower people, because there is a bigger picture. I used to think that actually education and empowerment was kind of pointless. Actually, it's not, because, it's like an epiphany. It's like a breakthrough that people are expecting, if that makes sense. So anyway, the other thing I was going to say to you, well, is, and this is something that has kind of happened to me a couple of times, which is ghosting. And ghosting, to me, again, is completely the polar opposites to being authentic. Because, again, generally people are ghosting you for a reason. It's because they have a judgment in their mind and they feel something and it's not true, or whatever it is, but it's their reality. Does that make sense? It might not be your reality, but I don't understand why people ghost people, right? And it's normally because, I don't know, I had a client, for example, an old client of mine. She ghosted me for, like, I don't know, 2-3 months, and we had a big email trail and stuff like that. And I said to her at the very beginning, I was like, the only way this relationship's going to work, the only way that you're going to get results is communication, right? Because communication is like, it's like the antidote. It's the thing that basically helps us settle down. If you feel like you're being ignored by somebody, right, and you feel like, and you feel like that you've really got to work hard in order to get blood out of a stone type of thing, it's not going to work. So it's really important to to make sure that you keep that open communication going, and things like that as well. But also, ghosting is one thing that really, that kind of, from my perspective, is the long-term damage that ghosting actually does. It's like, well, if you're going to suddenly disappear and ignore me, right, then how can I specifically, like myself, how can I specifically, help you from a value perspective, right? How can I do that? So I think that's really, really important. If you want to create those strong relationships, if you want to create longevity in those relationships, and that authenticity and value, whatever it is, don't ghost the other person. It's really important to not ghost the other person. Even if you're, I don't know, if you owe someone money, for example, right? Don't ghost them. Be open and honest with them. Just say, I'm going through a tough time. This is the reason why. I'm sure the other person will more than happy to understand your situation. But if you ignore them and ghost them, all it does is it makes the situation worse. Does that make sense? It's the same with anything. You've got to make sure that that you've got to keep that communication open, and not create these prejudgments in your mind that you think the other person's going to do something bad, or they're going to behave inappropriately, or hurt you, insult you in any particular way. Anyway, I wanted to jump on here really, really quickly. I've been harping on for about 20 minutes. And I don't know if any of these things resonate with you guys. I'd love to get your perspective about it. Yeah, I really, really would. And so whenever you're listening to this, by the way, use the hashtag live, use the hashtag replay for you guys that have been listening in later on. We're going to actually replay this up onto the podcast as well, the Game Changers Experience, which is on Apple, Google, Spotify, etc., etc. Please do me a favor, PLC, post like or comment in the comment section below as well. We have, if you're listening to me on LinkedIn or YouTube, hit that bell notification top right hand corner, and hopefully you'll get some more cracking, perspectives of how my week's been going, and if you've experienced that too, and how you can overcome disappointment, but also turn those into wins as well. Anyway, enough of me. Hope that you enjoyed today's particular episode. I have, and love to hear from you guys as well. Anyway, have a great day, week, month, whenever you listen to this, and we'll speak to you soon. Take care. Have a good one. Cheers now. Bye-bye.